Hi, I'm Kenton, and this is Kenton Knows. In my real estate banking and accounting setup video, Frank asked if I could do a video on how to transfer real estate from your personal name into an LLC. So that's what I'll be explaining in this video, in addition to how it will affect your purchase and refinancing if you intend to use conforming loans. My properties are in Chicago, so a few of these steps will be Chicago specific, but the concepts should be similar in any area of the country. If you like this video, please hit the like button, consider subscribing to my channel. Also clicking the bell so you'll get notified anytime I post a new video. And please leave me any questions or comments below, and you also might consider joining my Facebook group. To start, this really only pertains to residential properties, which are 4 units or less. If the property is 5 units or more, you'll need to get a commercial loan, and there really is no reason to ever put the commercial property in your personal name, so you would purchase it in an LLC or a trust and keep it there until you sell it. I'm not an attorney, so I'm not advising you on anything with regard to LLCs or quitclaim deeds in this video. I'm merely providing you with what I do, why I do it, and what I might do differently if I knew what I know now. First, I didn't set up my LLC until I moved out of the first 3-unit investment property I owned, and I don't think it's important to pay to set up an LLC until you actually own your second investment property, but I definitely recommend talking to an attorney about it. Next, I set up a series LLC, which allows me to have multiple sub-LLCs in the series. So each property has its own LLC, but I only pay the yearly annual report LLC for the series, not for each LLC. I see a lot of heated online debates of whether to hold a property in an LLC or not. Again, I'm not an attorney, but here's my take on LLCs and why I have one for each property. If there is ever a major event or incident at the property I own, I am hopeful that my landlord insurance policy will cover the damages, and if there is a lawsuit, the insurance company will assist with the defense. In the event the policy limit is reached, then I have an umbrella policy that should kick in. In the very unlikely event that the umbrella policy was also exhausted, I then would have the LLC protection, where the hope is that the absolute worst case would be that I would lose the LLC and the assets in it, which is essentially the property. The hope is that the LLC would protect my personal assets and other properties I own. This is all a what if, and if you are found to be negligent, then all this is irrelevant and the LLC won't protect you. Negligence would be if you knew the supports on your back porch needed to be replaced and the city or a tenant pointed it out to you, but you didn't do anything to fix it. Then it collapsed with people on it. Clearly, you would be found negligent and the LLC wouldn't matter. There does seem to be some debates as to whether a single member LLC really provides much protection, and again, I'm not an attorney, so I can't say for sure, but my attorney thinks it's worth the cost, and since it is a fairly minor cost, I'm willing to do it. One other fringe benefit of the LLC is that when I created a trust instead of a will, I assigned the ownership of the LLCs to the trust, so all of my property can avoid probate upon my death, and the trust can take ownership of the property and bank accounts without interruption, which is another benefit of having the properties in their own LLCs. With that out of the way, I'm going to go through the full life cycle of a property, starting with the purchase. Just for fun, let's do a more complicated purchase of a 4-unit property that is not habitable, which I have done a few times. In this case, you can't get a conforming loan, so your options are cash, private loan, hard money, or some type of construction financing. Personally, I have always used cash from lines of credit or a private loan from a friend. When I borrowed from a friend, I structured it so my friend would wire the full purchase price to the title company at closing, and I would use my lines of credit to do all of the rehab. Then, when the rehab was finished, I would finance the property with a conforming loan and pay my friend back the full purchase price plus an agreed upon interest, which in my case was usually about 3% above the current bank rates. Whether you were able to get a conforming loan on the day you closed or in month 7 after the 6-month seasoning period and some rehab, I personally held all of my properties in my name until I had a conforming 30-year loan on the property, which I intended to hold for quite some time before I considered transferring the property to the LLC. I did have the LLC set up and the bank account in the name of the LLC, but I didn't transfer the property to the LLC until after I closed on the refinance, which I'd consider to be a long-term or permanent financing, as it's a hassle to go back and forth with the LLC and your personal name. So, the next step is creating a quitclaim deed and recording it to transfer the ownership from my personal name into the LLC. Here is where an experienced real estate investor will tell you to be careful, as doing this transfer will trigger the due on sale clause in any conforming mortgage, which means that if the bank finds out you violated a covenant of the loan by transferring the loan out of your name into an LLC, they can call the entire loan due. First, that'd be scary, right? Well, before we get all worried, you would have the right to cure, which means if they notified you that you had this violation of the loan covenant, you could just do the reverse and you would be fine because you cured it. Clearly, this has been a topic and issue for years. So the good news is that this is no longer an issue, as long as the loan was refinanced on or after June 1st, 2016 for Fannie Mae, or any time for Freddie Mac. I'll post the links to back up this in the description below, but here's what it says for Fannie Mae. The servicer must process the following exempt transactions without reviewing or approving the terms of the transfer, provided the mortgage loan was purchased or securitized by Fannie Mae on or after June 1st, 2016, and the LLC is controlled by the original borrower or the original borrower owns a majority interest in the LLC, and if the transfer results in a permitted change of occupancy type to an investment property, such change does not violate the security instrument. Effective 10/14/2020, Freddie Mac added similar language, except it did not seem to specify a date after which the change applied, so I do not think the loan origination date makes a difference to Freddie Mac. The links to both of these are in the description below. Now that you know you can transfer the property to an LLC, how do we do it? I will be walking you through the steps I take to do it myself for my Chicago properties, which are in Cook County, Illinois. I had my attorney do all of the paperwork on the first one. Then I simply copied all the documents and used them repeatedly for all future transfers. So here we go. First, you will need to create the actual quitclaim deed. The one I use is 3 pages, and I highly recommend that you have an attorney prepare your first one. The first page of my document essentially names the grantor, or the entity or person who currently owns the property, and the grantee, which is the person or entity receiving the property. The property identification number, or PIN, property address, dates, and signatures, along with some legalese. The second page has some legal language, a space for transfer stamps, another signature, plus a notary stamp and signature. Then the third page has a legal description of the property and the PIN. In addition, there is another 1-page grantor-grantee affidavit document, which has the grantor section on the top half and the grantee section on the bottom half, both with a notary stamp and signature. Since all of my properties are in an LLC where I am the only member, I sign all grantor and grantee lines, and since my wife is a notary, I can just print them out, sign and date them, and then have my wife notarize them and move right on to the next step. In Chicago, there are of course a bunch of hoops to jump through after you have the quitclaim documents completed. First, you need to scan the documents so you have them prepared to upload for the next steps. Before the City of Chicago will allow you to transfer the deed, you'll need to log on to the City of Chicago Full Payment Certificate website to be sure your water bill is fully paid. After logging into the system, you will complete the full payment certificate application. You'll need the completed quitclaim deed to fill out the form, your water account number, and you'll upload the fully signed and notarized quitclaim deed. It may take the city a week or so, but then you'll get an email with a link to pay the remaining balance on your water bill. Once you pay the balance, the city will email you the full payment certificate. After you've filled out the form for the full payment certificate, you will need to file your real property transfer tax declaration for the state of Illinois. This is done on the MyDeck website. The websites are in the description below. You'll want to create a login and then follow the directions. There are a lot of screens to go through, and for the most part, just click E for exempt on most items, and you'll need your quitclaim deed, including the legal description, to complete this form. You do not need to get a zoning cert or anything else, just click that it's exempt or not needed. Once you finish this, it's a little weird, but you first submit the declaration, then you need to go back in and click that you accept it, and then you go back in again to click that you complete it before it's ready to record. I'm not sure the whole reason behind all that, but you have to do all that. Now that you've completed these steps, you could, in the past, go to City Hall and record it in person. When I did this, I would start in the Department of Finance, room 107, wait in line to get a receipt for the paid transfer tax, which they simply give you a receipt for $0. Next, I would go across the hall to Cook County Recorder of Deeds, which as of December 7th of 2020 has been taken over by the Cook County Clerk's office and is in room 120. First, you wait in line to have someone with the clerk's office review the documents, enter a few things in their software, and stamp your deed. After that, you'll walk across the room and wait in line to get the transfer stamps, which they'll then place on your document. Then you come back and wait in line to have someone with the clerk's office again copy and finalize the recording documents. Then, after they've done that, you'll go to the cashier, which is also in the same room, and you'll wait in line to pay for it. Since COVID, I haven't gone to City Hall to record anything. I've used a company that can do it all online, and I pay a small amount above the normal recording fee, which was about $100 per property and is based on the number of pages recorded, plus that third-party fee. I'm not sure how other cities handle the process, but clearly, in my opinion, Chicago makes it all fairly complicated. Also, the first time I went through the process, the city employees helped me, but they were clearly annoyed that I didn't know what I was doing. They treated me as if the process was simple to follow, and I'm the idiot for not knowing it, but I knew better than to do anything other than say, thank you so much for your help at each step throughout the process. In summary, if I were starting my residential investments today, I would start by 1. Buy each property in my own name. 2. After closing on the second property, I would create a series LLC. 3. Assuming I renovated the property, I would wait the obligatory 6-month seasoning period to complete a cash-out refinance. 4. I would then do a quitclaim deed to transfer ownership from myself to the sub-LLC in the series. Each property would have its own sub-LLC, with the name of the LLC being the address of the property. I explained setting up the LLC and getting the EIN number in my real estate accounting and banking setup video if you'd like to check that out. To record the quitclaim deed in Chicago, you will need to do the following. 1. Fill out, sign, and notarize the quitclaim deed. 2. Fill out, sign, and notarize the grantor-grantee affidavit. 3. Request the full payment certificate for your water bill. 4. Complete the MyDeck declarations. 5. Pay the outstanding water bill and get the full payment certificate. 6. Record the deed by either going to City Hall or pay a title company or a clerking company like Lawyer's Legs to record it for you. I hope this gives you a little more understanding about the reasons to potentially use an LLC for your real estate properties and the process of using a quitclaim deed to transfer the property to your LLC. Please like this video, subscribe to my channel, join my Kenton Knows Facebook group, and leave me a comment as well. Also, please be sure to check out my other videos, and thank you for watching Kenton Knows.